Hey folks, Twisted Christian here. Today I want to give you guys a quick update on Zion Oil and Gas. And today they came out with an update, so I want to give you some of my thoughts and opinions on that update. But first folks, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just bringing and sharing information and giving you my thoughts and my opinions on that information. And if you guys like these videos that I make, the support links are down below in the description and the About section of YouTube, the Patreon, PayPal, and so on. Alright folks, so you guys know that I haven't really been doing that many Zion Oil updates over the last few months. I've been concentrating on other wealth transfer investments. And since they did do an update, I wanted to do an update and give you guys some information. And we're going to take a look at the short interest too as well, because I smell something fishy there again, but we'll get into that. So looking at the price today on the 16th, so it looks like it closed out a little bit above 11 cents. I did tell you guys back in December that I wasn't buying any more Zion Oil. I had my stop losses in, and I'm waiting for an opportunity to get back in. And I do believe that it's, even from today's update, that it will go down even lower. But it's been hovering over the last 3 trading days or so in that 10-cent range. I believe the pullback from Russia is also going to have an effect overall on the oil markets, which will add just a little bit of pressure on Zion Oil. I mean, right now, Zion Oil isn't producing any oil or anything right now. They don't have any revenue. And the only way that they raise money is through selling the stocks, which they've been doing that last year, at the end of last year. And I believe that they're going to have to continue to do that here to keep operations moving. So let's go ahead and get into the Zion Oil update. All right, so this came out today, February 16th, 2022. So dear Zion Oil supporters and shareholders, 2022 has kicked off to a fast and exciting start for Zion and its operations team as we prepare to continue developing the testing the MJ02 well. We are pleased to announce that all necessary services for completing the well, along with enhancement and reservoir testing, have been secured. Zion has partnered with some of the leading petrophysicists and stimulation experts in the United States to plan the next phase of the operation. As Zion continues to navigate manufacturing logistical delays, the plan is to resume operations in Q1. These operations will start with necessary recertifications and inspection of the rig, while also upgrading critical systems that will benefit this operation and allow for enhanced drilling operations in the future. Upon completing the inspections, upgrades, and rigging up, the crew will complete the final casing tubular run before moving on to the enhancement and reservoir testing phase. Okay, folks, so my first impression of this is that we are still months away from any type of an official announcement. And I do believe that the stock will go down lower than where it's at now. Currently, I am looking for another major dip in the stock market, as well as the cryptocurrency markets. And I believe that's coming here pretty shortly. So I can honestly see that the stock actually could go down, maybe even down to 5 cents or so in a stock market dip. Not saying it would go down to 5 cents and stay there, but it's very possible. I told you guys that back in December when it was like around 28 to 30 cents, that I believe that was going to continue to go down, and it has ever since. I think I told you guys to put in stop losses at 25. If you didn't feel comfortable, put them in at 22 cents or 20 cents. And for those of you who did, even if you bought back in around the 10-cent mark, you would have doubled, or maybe even in some cases even tripled, your Zion Oil investment. So you could tell here from reading to where we're at, we still have a lot of time left. It said they're pleased to announce all necessary services for completing the well, along with enhancement and reservoir testing, have been secured. So they need these people for when this time comes. They will already have them ready to go, basically. It says here that Zion has partnered with leading petrophysicists and stimulation experts in the U.S. to plan the next phase of the operation. So right now they are planning the next phase, right? So probably by now or so, or here in the near future, they will be planning this next phase of this operation. So that tells me again that there's still time. Zion continues to navigate manufacturing and logistical delays. The plan is to resume operations in Q1. Again, we have delays, right? And so right now, operations to me, that tells me that if they plan to resume, that means the operations have ceased, right? These operations will start with necessary recertifications and inspection of the rig. So they have to get it recertified, get it inspected, and get it recertified, upgrading critical systems and whatever that means. Upon completing the inspections, upgrades, rigging up, the crew will complete the final casing and tubular run before moving on to enhancement and reservoir testing phase. So the other thing that caught my attention is the rigging up. So if there's rigging up, that means the rig must be down. And so, up in the previous paragraph, they're talking about recertifications and inspection of the rig and upgrading those systems. So while the rig is down, then I'm assuming that's where they're going to be making any type of repairs or upgrades and then do inspections before they actually pull it up. And just for your information, not everybody's going to know, rigging up is placing and assembling the various parts of the equipment to make up the rig and preparing the rig for drilling. Right, during the assembly of the rig, some equipment may be handled and set with a crane, rig up trucks, or forklift, depending on the size of the rig. It should be noted that overhead hazards such as high voltage power lines may be present. There may be 2 or more crew teams working together in the rigging up process. The rigging up process includes the following steps, some of which are done simultaneously: setting up the substructure, setting up the rig floor and mast or derrick, installing handrails, guardrails, stairs, walkways, ladders, installing the power system, rigging up the circulation system, installing the auxiliary equipment, inspecting the rig. So they have all these steps to complete. I don't know as far as how many people are working on it, how long they expect all of that to take, but just going back and looking at this here, they're going to be doing upgrades, upgrading critical systems, and all that has to be done before the final casing and tubular run. So looking at this, the rig is down, and then they have to do all their enhancements and everything, get it back up and going, all their inspections. So they're expecting to be done with that by Q1, which ends on March the 31st. So the good news is that they are moving forward. The bad news is that they're not operating right now. So they want to get all this completed. And with Q1 ending March 31st, that's not to say that it's going to be done, because it seems like they do have a lot of delays concerning all of this. So folks, just in my opinion, we still have a lot of time. So when do I think that Zion oil will start to go back up from where it's at now? I do expect, like I said, a market dip, and then there could be a rebound from that market dip. And so depending on where Zion oil is on that market dip, if it's, say, at 5 cents, it may only rebound and jump up to 20 or 30 cents. It just really depends. There's a lot of other factors that are in that. And investors and people knowing that we still have months to go and they've actually stopped operations at this moment, it may not matter what the market does. That Zion oil may still continue just to go down, until we get that news release that they have, resumed operations. So with Q1 ending on March the 31st, if there's no other delays, then that's when they will begin operations. Sometime, probably won't be this month. It'll be sometime next month, and we should get an update that they've resumed operations. So if they continue to have manufacturing and logistical delays throughout this whole process, we may not get to this casing and tubular run for 3 months. So what I would like to see you guys do, just look for opportunities to get in, because I think that it could actually go lower. Now, I do want to get into the short interest because one of the things that really upset me back in January, because I felt like, there was somebody on the inside that's sharing information, at least about there's a news release coming, right? And that, I'm kind of even feeling like there's probably somebody within Zion Oil, a Judas, who was saying, hey, there's an update getting ready to come, because the short interest just drops like a rock every time there's a news update. So I want to go back and go look at the short interest for Zion Oil and Gas. This is what I'm saying, and this is what blows my mind, folks, because you can see the short interest is usually above 30%, and you can see here on the 11th, which was Friday, was at 38%. Right? On Monday, it dropped by more than half, right? Maybe they were expecting a news release, right? Then yesterday, it goes up by almost 3 times, right? And then guess what the short interest today was on the day of the news release? And it dropped again by more than 50%. So if you ask me, in my opinion, when I look at what happened here, right, with the short interest, and then I'm seeing what I'm seeing here on the short interest, something fishy is going on. But I think eventually it'll be found out. I thought about, filing a complaint. I will let it ride, because guess what? If I see this, right, in the future, right, we should be watching the short interest to see if there's any coming news releases. So if you see the short interest just drop suddenly on a Friday, okay, well, hey, we should be expecting a news release, within the next couple days. So to me, it's just fishy. It drops by more than 50%, on Friday. It jumps back up almost 3 times the amount, and then on the day of the news release, it drops again by more than half. So I think something is going on, folks. So that's just my opinion. It's just something that needs to be prayed about. As long as the shorts are getting the information before the news releases, they will always continue to win. Something there is going on. All right, so we haven't had any major fails to deliver. So you have here back in at the beginning of January, and they would have already, their 35-day expiration would have already been done. So they've already covered their positions. So you can see the fails to deliver has dropped dramatically. Right, just overall, if you just remember the short interest back looking at it a long time, when I first started looking at it, seeing 1 million or 500,000 fails to deliver on a daily basis was nothing compared to what we're seeing now. You're hardly seeing any fails to deliver. If you're thinking of buying, just my personal opinion, I think it's going to drop. There's no news right now Zion Oil could give over the next week that's going to keep the stock price over 10 cents a share. They've already shared with us what's going on. We still have plenty of time, according to what it says here, that they actually have stopped operations. So I want you to think about that. And I'm looking at this thing and I'm saying, man, this where Zion Oil is at right now, and looking at their past, you guys need to hold off and wait so you can have a lot more shares. So, like I said, I'm going to say again, I still think it has a lot of room to drop. A lot of room compared to this when I look at this update. Hopefully you guys, when it comes to Zion Oil especially, hopefully you guys pay attention to the short interest. And people really need to share that information. I've provided the information, the links for you guys to look at it on a daily basis. When you're getting ready to buy into a stock, that is one of the things you should look at, is the short interest. So once again, I will share the Fintel link and you guys can look at that information on any stock, so that way you guys can make more better informed decisions. And I think that if it does go, if it does really continue to drop, folks, I mean, really in a way, there's no way you can really lose. Even if the stock drops to a penny, it'll be just like gold in the future, right? But in order for most of the retail investors to take a hold of all the shares, and since we did get another sell-off of a bunch of shares, there's a lot of dilution in Zion Oil. So it's going to take a lot in order to grab all the shares. So if you are looking for an opportunity to get into Zion Oil, I believe that you will even be able to get it in even cheaper. So if anybody's telling you to buy right now, I would seriously consider waiting because I think it's going to go down. All right, folks, so that's all I have for today on Zion Oil and Gas. I thank you guys for listening. God bless. TC out.